$1,108 ducks.
1,108.
I'll talk about the actual thing first. So I started broilers years and years ago with the Salton tractors. Don't like them. I've been pretty vocal about the fact that they're rubbish. There's a lot of people absolutely love Joel Salton. As everyone knows, he is our messiah here. But this is based on a Shishkovich tractor. He makes his out of timber, which are great because it's light. I need them heavy. We have a massive wind load here. So I made a heap of those Shishkovich ones out of timber and they all blew away. So we deliberately make these heavy. We deliberately hang our feeder boxes off them because that's really heavy. There's like 100 kilos of feed in there. So we do all this for a very specific reason. In the States, they use a lot of aluminium. You can't buy aluminium sheeting in Australia. It costs you so much bloody money. So we use steel. I'm not worried that they're heavy, so I want them to be heavy. But you can get in these. You can walk around. You can pick birds up. You can collect eggs, and you're not crawling around your knees. I really like this. This is a fantastic. I'm 185 centimetres, so I make them exactly my height so I can walk around in them. So I'll point out a couple of things. We've obviously got our drinker suspended here. I'm going to show you the water system. We don't use pails or buckets of water that you've got to refill every day. It seems pretty inefficient to me. This is for multiple species of animals, like a lot of the stuff we do here. This is a stacked enterprise. So these are actually the quail feeder boxes. So the quail would eat out of here if there were quail in here. But when we've got chickens in them, we like to just hang these plastic feeders. They work really well. But we don't have to get in here and remove the water or get in here and remove the food before we drag it. We literally just hook these things up and drag them. We don't even have to actually come in here. So that's a little bit more efficient than the Salton style where you're opening it up, you're taking your feeder out, you're taking your water out, you're moving it, you're putting everything back in. We literally just roll up to these things and drag them. So this is one, it's twice the size. So we've got 4 meters by 1.8. This one here is 4 meters by 4 meters. And it's one I actually developed for laying hens when I was doing the breast chickens. You can see the nesting boxes and stuff up there, but works equally as well for our broilers. Same deal. We've got the water suspended here. We've got the feeder suspended. We've got heaps of room. So this is getting moved every 2 days at the moment because there's not many birds in here. But again, multiple use infrastructure. If I want to put laying hens back in here, I can. We've got one the same as this just over here. I'm sure Dave will show you that does have laying hens in it. And that's the eggs that we're eating at the moment. So guys, this is how I do my water. So instead of having a bucket attached to every unit, I just run a daisy chain of hoses. So we come from the IBC tank, which gives you a good amount of pressure for your drinker nipples. You don't want to run from your main system because it'll blow your drinker nipples out. Straight into the first one, onto a T, and this one just loops to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And we can just drag these things. This will just putts along behind. So it's much more efficient moving them. Joel Salton brags about sort of 60 seconds to move one of his. We're blowing that well out of the water. I mean, we just grab these things and drag them. It just takes a matter of seconds. So much more efficient, great water system, clean, very clean. Nothing can corrupt this water source. So it's a great system. So guys, I well and truly fell out of love with eggs. Tathra Place Free Range actually started as a pastured egg business, and I learnt pretty quickly that sorting, classing, weighing and boxing up eggs definitely wasn't my passion. So the chickens that we have now are really just for us so that we can have fresh eggs inside. But this is the way I think it's a fantastic way of running them. Especially we've still got some breasts in here, so they'll roam. If you let these things free range, they'll go for kilometres. So it's a way of keeping them on fresh pasture, knowing where your eggs are going to be every morning, and making sure that there's a maximum amount of predator protection. So we don't even bother with Maremmas down in this paddock. These things, essentially, they're so heavy, they're ultimately predator proof. We've never really had an issue. So tick on water, showed you the water, tick on the feed, tick on efficiency, but also predator protection, giant tick. These tractors, whatever style you choose, you're almost eliminating predation, whether it be aerial or from foxes or whatever you've got, coyotes, it doesn't matter in the world where you are. These things work fantastically well. So guys, it's really important with any system, there is no cut and paste system. This is about my 5th or 6th version of this. As I said, I started with the Salatin ones, played around with them, went to the Shostakovich ones, they all blew away and smashed into a million pieces, we burnt them. And then slowly I got into these steel ones. It is perfect for here. I can't have them any bigger because our ground's quite rugged.
And I mean, look at the wind that will come off. Like you've got it, this paddock's quite exposed.
I don't know if you can see, but look at the wind turbines.
Yeah.
There's a reason we have wind turbines here. We get a huge wind load. So I can't have bigger units because the ground's not level enough and the birds would get out. So this size, this weight, this water system and this feed system works fantastically well for me. You cannot cut and paste this. Pick a version of a system that you think is going to work for you, but I promise you, you're going to have to tweak it. It's not going to be perfect. There's no cut and paste. Buy Joel Salatin's book. It's great because the ideas of how to build things are phenomenal, but I guarantee you it's not going to work perfectly in your system, depending on your paddock types, your water types, the types of birds you're going to be able to get in. There's so many different variables. It's going to need to be tweaked. So these things are also pretty incredible for your fertility program. So this is a paddock here that these particular tractors just go round and round and round. It's so big, it takes about 8 months to come back to the same spot, even when we are running all 20 of them at a time. But you can see the effects, you can see the scratching, you can see the manure load, and then this time of the year, we're just coming into spring here in Australia. You can see it's only taking sort of 5 or 6 days for it to really green up, and phenomenal. Really, really lovely. Look, this is just an old hay paddock here. There's nothing phenomenal about the pasture in here, but over the years, it's improved out of sight through this program. Really good. About 4 weeks old. Already started to develop that lovely big double breast. I fell out of love with these birds, admittedly, about 4 years ago. But since we bought the shop and I realised that I couldn't buy decent chicken anywhere, and I've gotten back into them, it really is, it's a human being's interpretation of a chicken. But if you're going to eat that sort of chicken, I'd rather be eating it out of a system like this. And you can taste the difference. Honestly, the moisture and it's so succulent, this chicken. It doesn't disappear in the oven. It's phenomenal. And you can see the lives they've got. We're processing it 6 weeks. So these guys, believe it or not, have only got 2 weeks to go. But they do love foraging and they do love eating the grass. And having them in the shed, it is a little bit of a tragedy. There's no wing clipping or beak trimming or anything obviously that happens here. They've all got really strong legs. You can see they're able to walk around fine. We don't grow them to the point that they're falling over.
Well, you can see the health of the bird, right?
100%, 100%. These are in really good condition, and the mortality is quite low. I've tried to do it in winter out here. That's a different story. The mortality was ridiculously high, but I've learnt that lesson now. We only do it in the spring and summer out here now. So this tractor system, whether it be quail, broilers, layers, it doesn't really matter. It works into the regenerative system perfectly. So with obviously fertilising the grass is going to grow. Chickens hate long grass. You can't have a chicken eating big long blades of grass. It's really, really bad for them. So we have to bring the ruminant through. Obviously the ruminant comes through, then there's a whole different biology out the back end of the ruminant, and this is where we get this ecosystem of fertility, biodiversity in the soil. It works incredibly well. So the cattle will run around in front of these things. I only bring them in bursts when I need them, but they need to eat the grass down, otherwise the chickens aren't happy. So it all has to work in unison.